So Samir, I think, was very famous for playing the Sprite deck for quite a long time, and it was a very cool deck, and he had a very creative take on it. But this time, he's turned up with Rescue Ace. What do you guys think of that?
I think both decks that we're going to see here are very interesting because I expected more from both decks to see so far in the featured match area, because Rescue Ace is tied for being the most represented deck in the tournament, but still we were missing it so far in the featured match area. But here we go with Samir picking that deck, maybe the most popular deck or like the most popular choice among top players of this event. And then also, of course, we have Vanquish Soul's second place finisher deck of YCS Dortmund returning again here with Marvin, and he gets his Stake Your Soul ashed right away by Samir Bashar. And does he have a way to extend from there? Because we all know he really, really needs access to Raisin, the best starter card of the deck, Vanquish Soul Raisin.
Oh, and it looks like Marvin has just Engine, but not the good card. He's going to reveal a Pantera right here, special summoning it, after the Stake Your Soul got Ash Blossom. So it looks devastating for Marvin, because with just the Engine, you have barely any interruptions.
That is true. We use the Rock of the Vanquisher right away to get back that Pantera to our hand. And I think we give it over to Samir. So we're just staring down that one Rock of the Vanquisher and nothing else. That card has 0 attack points. So Samir basically facing a free field here. But let's not forget, Rock of the Vanquisher also has a quick effect in our opponent's main phase to bring out one monster from our hand. So that is where Marvin could get things started, summoning out like a Heavy Borger, summoning out a Caesar Valiers or something like that. So it's not over just yet.
But what a dream scenario for Samir. Like, normally you go second, you expect your opponent to do quite a lot of things, but with just the one Ash Blossom, it's pretty much past Marvin's turn.
Your opponent passed on no attack points on the field at all, and now you're basically hindering yourself from OTKing your opponent by activating Pot of Prosperity, because you're only going to deal half of the damage you were supposed to deal originally, but you get to excavate the top 6 cards of your deck and just choose one and add it to your hand, which almost always leads to a playable hand to access to your combos.
Yeah. Samir having a big think here about what he wants to banish. Do you think the cards you banish change a lot based off of what deck you're playing against?
Yeah, I think you are definitely mixing it up a bit, and I think in Samir's extra deck there are some very interesting decisions, because, for example, I see Power Tool Braver Dragon, which is a pretty unpopular choice, but he has decided to go with it. And I think also the Rescue Ace deck is one of the very few decks that is relying on 2 copies of SP Little Knight. So I'm pretty sure SP Little Knight at the end of the day is probably going to be the most represented extra deck monster in the entire field. Oh, and of course we see there's also the Sinful Spoils package in there. And we are going to go with the Abelstar, the Black Witch, that we add off the Prosperity.
And of course, we have also seen the enemy controller in there to dodge possible impermanences or effect veilers or ghost mourners going second.
He just loves this card.
Yeah, it's a very Samir card, isn't it? He just kind of plays one of everything.
Yeah, and we discarded the Rescue Ace Fire Attacker there for the Witch, and that is another interesting choice, because it's not really the most like, people don't see this as a staple in the Rescue Ace strategy, because it only lets you draw cards. So usually people do something else instead. Oh, okay. It looks like we use the on-field effect of Pantera. Which one is that even? We revealed...
It destroys a spell or trap card.
Ooh, that's pretty good. In the same column, so that worked. We do go on with a normal summon, and that's Ricadato. So we, in theory... I think we're also playing... Yeah, we're playing the Isolde package in our extra deck, so that may be the route that he wants to go for.
That's a very creative interruption there from Marvin, because normally the Pantera, you don't think much of it, it just summons itself, but knowing like the ins and outs of your deck can be very key in situations.
Ooh, but that's also, of course, a potential Synchro summon here, and yes, of course, it is a Synchro 8 into Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon, and we are trying to get that Ricadato back to the field.
Then this would let you make a level 9 Synchro, which is the...
That must be the Power Tool Braver Dragon then, right? Okay, but Valius is being chained to that. Valius is bringing himself to the field. And if we have the right attributes to reveal for Caesar Valius here, we could maybe destroy one of the monsters on Samir's side here.
That is looking good. Depending on Samir's extra deck, he could then tribute the Stardust Dragon to summon.
Oh, look at that. He's
OG
revealing his
Stardust
entire
Dragon.
hand.
Wow.
So we do have the right attributes to at least destroy one card, and we are destroying the Axel Stardust Dragon there.
Samir Bashar now has perfect information, though, because he has seen the entire hand of Marvin Kamara, so he knows what is coming his way. He started with a Pot of Prosperity. There are only, I think, 2 cards, maybe 3 cards, I think rather 3 cards in the hand left of Samir Bashar. He has 1 monster on the field. Now this is going to see... Oh, did he? Okay, no.
That looked like a pass, right? But
very briefly, though, so we are not completely sure about that. Maybe we are discussing the interactions right here.
they're just confirming what happens there.
I think he hasn't normal summoned yet, or did he normal summon the Riga yet?
He did normal summon.
Normally when
Rikideto.
somebody starts with Pot of Prosperity, it means that you don't have the engine that you want, because you would start with your engine and then you've thinned your deck a little bit, and then maybe you can grab some non-engine, or if your opponent interrupts you know what you need. So if your opponent's first card is Pot of Prosperity, it's normally not necessarily a weak hand, but one without a lot of engine, and we've already seen multiple interruptions come through Marvin, so maybe this might be enough.
Yeah. There goes original Sinful Spoils Snake Eyes activation in the graveyard now, though. And you can draw 1 card through this. So maybe Samir kind of hoping for a Destiny draw moment here.
He is.
Wait, he's searching
You can
hydrants.
search a level 1 fire monster.
Ooh,
Is that effect?
true, you're right. That's also the other way of searching out Hydrant. But do we have a way to bring Hydrant onto the field, or is it just a setup for next turn here?
Maybe we can just activate Rescue A's Arias, discard it and special summon out the Hydrant, but I don't think that this is somehow possible. Let's see what the Rikideto is going to do right here. We see another spell card in Samir's hand. He is linking away now. This might just be a Linkuriboh.
Linkuriboh, something like that.
Linkuriboh?
It is Linkuriboh indeed.
It does banish itself to summon... It just has to summon a warrior, or does it have to can it summon any fire, the Rikideto?
Let's
Oh, but there is another card
Fire
that he
Warrior
can
monster.
use, and that is, of course, one of the one-offs in the deck, and this is Alert. And Alert can just special summon out one from the graveyard, one of your Rescue Ace monsters, and there we go.
That is a card that could lead to more draws. However, I think you would much rather just try and go for an SP Little Knight right here to get rid of the Rock and the Vanquish Soul Caesar Valiant right here, because I don't see how Marvin is going to add some cards to his hand so he could draw. So I think this is much rather just trying to break the field and not give your opponent follow-up.
Oh, yeah. Are we banishing
Can
the
he not
Rock?
target this? Caesar can protect itself.
Yeah, but Caesar, you can only use one of the effects.
All right, okay.
I think. I don't think you can use both, so I'm a little confused as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so set 1 and giving it over. So Marvin, in theory, has a very easy way to get rid of that SP Little Knight, because there's a monster already on the field being big enough to just attack over it.
And generally, you don't really... Okay, now an effect was activated and we are banishing the cards again. So SP Little Knight is now in the main monster zone, which is a little bit more convenient.
Yeah, I didn't think that made too much of a difference.
Yeah, I agree.
It just kind of, moved the SP Little Knight.
Okay, it's back to Marvin after a really bad opening. He is still in this. He found a way to interrupt Samir enough, and I think Samir's hand also wasn't that great. And now Marvin kind of taking over the leading position here. And just imagine he picks up another Stake Your Soul, or maybe just the Raisin itself. That would be really good for him.
Yeah, I mean, the face-down card for Samir is also very vulnerable. Just another pop for Caesar Valius.
Ooh, yes, indeed. We are revealing the 3 cards we have already revealed. And Samir just lets it resolve. It's impermanence, and that's just gone. And that's an interesting decision that he decided to set that card, because it was pretty obvious that Marvin can just go into the battle phase, go over the SP Little Knight, and then the field of Samir would have been free, so he could have kept the impermanence in the hand, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this Caesar Valius being a proper boss monster here, it's going to pop a card next turn as well, if it stays on the field. But, I mean, Marvin can do some shuffling around. He can bounce it for Heavy Borger. He can turn it into a rock and then add it back to his hand and special summon it. He's got a lot of options, even with this suboptimal start.
Yep. There comes another Rock of the Vanquisher. And we want to summon out the Pantera again, as we did in the last turn. And there is now, okay, we have a rank 4 coming up with the normal summon of Kashtera Rysart. And there comes Dempsey, and Dempsey would finally be the way into the Raisin. There we have it, but he cannot normal summon this turn anymore. But, of course, we can summon it out through the Rock.
Yeah, he hasn't used the rock effect, so yeah, he should be able to do that.
And now maybe he also finds his way by using Heavy Borger in his hand to get some non-engine going, to get some of those hand traps that are very valuable, or maybe there can only be one. I don't know if the deck is actually running that right now, to be quite honest.
I can answer you that because I have his list right in front of me, and scrolling through it, there can be only one included.
But this is still a great situation for Marvin.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Madlov is being added to his hand now as well. And Dr. Madlov, of course, gives you the option to also get into spell and trap cards. And let's not forget, there was a really, really great addition to the deck in Age of the Overlords. It's Vanquish Soul Snow Devil, which is a trap card now, which kind of has replaced Dust Devil a little bit. Dust Devil usually was just a Book of Moon effect, which was nice, but Vanquish Soul Snow Devil does so much more for you because it has 3 different effects. It can be an entire field wipe, so Snow Devil really is great. And Samir realized there's no way coming back from this, and Marvin, after a not so great opening, sealing the deal here for game number 1. Impressive performance, and Vanquish Soul, after being in the finals of YCS Dortmund, maybe coming back and taking down YCS Bologna. What are your opinions on the deck?
I just thought that was kind of, even though the Vanquish Soul didn't have its ideal opening, it was kind of a good showing for the deck because it seems to want to be a deck that kind of has a 1-for-1 trade with your opponent, and then you get incremental advantage with Caesar Valius, with Raisin. So I thought that was a really great showing for it.
You kind of have to fight your way there. It feels a little bit like Time Wizard 2005, the Warrior deck that just wants to trade 1 by 1 and then get a little bit of tempo, a little bit of chip damage here and there. We haven't seen the Heavy Borger, my favorite card from the deck, that is sometimes just a great win condition by dealing 1,500 damage directly to the life points of your opponent multiple times. We have seen that a lot also from Lukas Janssen at YCS Dortmund. I mean, the deck has gotten new support, so it's gotten a little bit better, but what's striking me the most is that the main win condition of the deck was that it just plays perfectly with there can only be one. That was the point, that was the reason why it stood out to everyone at YCS Dortmund. Now the deck is not even running it anymore, so you can't rely on this floodgate.
Yeah, for sure. It's still super successful. And I mean, I was speaking about Snow Devil being a new card in the deck, but there's also a new monster that is really, really strong, and that's Vanquish Soul Jialong. Jialong is actually incredible because you can just special summon him out when you have revealed cards in your hand for a Vanquish Soul effect. So that's happening a lot, as we just saw in game 1 already. And then you can just reveal 2 fire monsters, and there are plenty of fire monsters in the deck, to search any Vanquish Soul card. Monster, spell, and trap, it doesn't matter. So I think Jialong, huge implementation to the deck, definitely helped the deck to improve a lot more. And Marvin, maybe that was the final reason for him to pick this deck for this event, honestly.
Yeah, I think any extra way to get Vanquish Soul monsters onto the field is really important in this deck because one of the issues with the deck is it's very reliant on its normal summon to get that first monster into play.
Totally.
So having more ways to get a monster into play is going to be very important. So I think it's a really nice addition. Yeah,
and I think it's a super cool toolbox deck, right? Because we have, of course, there's the Rock of the Vanquisher, which is a Link monster, but you just saw you can also go into some Exceed summons, so you can just use your entire extra deck. It's very versatile. When you look at the extra deck of a Vanquish Soul player, it could be going 10 different directions, which is quite funny. Funnily enough, that's the same thing for the Rescue Ace deck. When you look at the Rescue Ace decks, you have like 10 different ways of approaching. You can have the Synchro approach with the Baron de Fleur package. There's the Isolde package being very popular at the moment too. Sometimes there's a Firewall package. I saw that at the top tables too. So there's really many different ways of approaching the Rescue Ace deck.
And funnily enough, Rescue Ace is considered one of the best decks in the entire format. Sure. Maybe it is even considered the best with just a little edge on the other top 4 decks right now, which are probably Tearlaments, Pearly, and Unchained. Unchained, and Labyrinth is also up there as well. But people have considered Rescue as to be a little bit better, to target it a little more. This is why people were also shifting away from the deck, because everyone is so prepared against it. But we haven't seen it on day 1 in the feature match. Of course, there are Rescue players in the tournament, but we have spotlighted other decks. And now this is the first showing, and it loses 1-0 to Vanquish Soul right here in the first game. But I think that the players are ready for game 2. Let's see if Samir can take it back. Let's go over to the game.
His opening certainly wasn't perfect either in game number 1. Let's see what Samir can do here, whether he can show us some set 4 moves, some turbulence effect resolutions, or maybe just a hydrant to begin things.
Do you think Rescue Ace is kind of the opposite?
Oh, but first of all, Marvin wants to lead this game off. In the standby phase, there's going to be Dimension Shifter. And, is Samir doing anything? Okay, once again, the Pot of Prosperity. Funnily enough, you would think he's running free of that, but he's playing this as a one-off, and so he opened it in both games here.
You can never question Samir's deck building. He makes some decisions that I think a lot of players make differently. You know, he likes to run one of a lot of different cards for different situations. And yeah, the Prosperity, I think, has been a pretty stable 3-0 for a lot of Rescue Ace players.
He likes to keep it fun and breezy, you know, improvise in some situations. I mean, that's what makes a great deck builder and a great Yu-Gi-Oh player as well, if you're confronted with new situations. And you're also confronting your opponent with newer situations because of those creative deck building choices. People do not always expect what Samir is running, and then he throws them off guard. I really like his playstyle.
I think it's actually a really good decision, because when you just mix it up, your opponent cannot, because it's very popular for top level players to look at the opponent's deck in game number 1 and then prepare their playstyle towards the tech cards that they are choosing. And if Samir is having different tech cards in game 1, game 2 and game 3 because it's all just one-offs, then you cannot really prepare against it. So I think it's really working out for him, and that is why Samir has been such a prominent player at the top tables over years now.
It's very hard to play around every field-breaking card there is.
Indeed, indeed.
What do you think? I mean, what do you think Samir was looking for off that Prosperity? Because he doesn't look like he was very happy with what turned up. But I'd have thought the Fire Hydrant is pretty high priority.
Hydrant is high priority. The thing is, Hydrant on its own is not combo. So I don't know whether that's going to be the perfect card to grab there.
Under Shifter, it's pretty hard to combo. You need basically an emergency to summon out the Turbulence via that, because you can't banish anything from your graveyard, because there is nothing.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. Durandal being activated, equipped to the Hydrant and searching himself out. Ricadetto.
Now let's see. Are we going to go into... Okay, we're banishing the Ricardetto.
Does that have an effect in your hand?
We just have to check. I'm also not aware, but of course we can just have a quick look at it.
Yeah, hand or GY, special summon 1, level 4 or lower Fire Warrior monster, which will be the airlifter that we just searched off of the Hydrant.
That's nice, using it as an extender there. And we get the emergency, and as you were just saying, Leo, this might be our way into the good old... Turbulence, which he's playing as a one-off, by the way. I think it's like really popular to play this in multiples, like 2 copies of it, but only as a one-off. Just Samir loving his one-offs, right? He does not care. He just wants to play 1 copy of it.
And he even does not send a card from the field to banish. He chooses to get rid of the impulse from his hand. Oh, and there's the impermanence. And this is also a reason why you try to sometimes play multiple copies of Turbulence.
I'm just a little confused. Sorry, Leo. I was going to say, surely Samir's about to make an SP Lil Knight here, so why didn't he just make that before? Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Oh. There is a Dark. All right.
What are we going for?
Oh, wow.
Here? Oh, we use the Dimension Shifter as synchro material for our Baron de Fleur. Impressive play there by Samir. Even coming to that solution there, realizing there's a level 6 monster sitting in the graveyard of Marvin, and then going for his own Baron de Fleur. And all of a sudden, Marvin only with 4 cards left in his hand.
Does Ricardetto make the airlifter a tuner? Is that what's going on here?
It must be.
Yeah, as a tuner.
Because Leo was looking, I was like, which one was the tuner? But Samir knows.
That was great stuff by Samir. We all expected SP Little Knight there, but it didn't come down. Ooh, okay. Pressure Planner race off.
And we're letting this resolve because, I mean, now, especially as the Turbulence is a one-off, you have used a lot of your resources. If you can get your Preventer into the graveyard, then you can special summon out the Turbulence later on, which I like a lot. But you've gone through a lot of your stuff. You really want to win with this little setup that you have.
Indeed. So, Fenrir has been at it.
But it's a very little setup, isn't it? There's just 1 Baron de Fleur, maybe a face down. But he's got no Rescue Ace monsters, so that can't be one of the Rescue Ace trap cards. Well, it could be, but it wouldn't be useful if it was.
Yeah, and we haven't even really talked about it just yet, but you see the score of the players. Both of them are on 7 wins and 2 losses. So this game, this match, really matters to both of them, because most likely the loser of this match is going to be out of the tournament, and only the winner is going to stay in and have a shot at making top cut in this.
And Marvin is far ahead right now because the Baron was already used on the Fenrir, a card that is not even part of the Vanquish Soul engine. You're going to banish 6 card now. Find the Raisin, hopefully find the Raisin and just get going here as Marvin.
Yeah, that's true. But like, there's one card in the back row of Samir that I could see him helping to survive this turn, to just use it right away on the summon of a Raisin, and that would be the Solemn Judgment. If he just uses Solemn Judgment on the first summon of a Vanquish Soul monster, he makes sure that Marvin never gets to a monster on the field, and then the Vanquish Soul can kind of struggle. Okay, so he does have access to Raisin if he wants it there. He could also go with the beautiful Ultimate Slayer there. What a nice looking card.
Not so good under Dimension Shifter.
Indeed, it is not. You're right, you're right.
That was one of the reasons why it fell off, I would say. Well, a Rise Heart rather than Dimension Shifter. But
Caesar Valius was putting in the work in game number 1, and he has decided to just grab it again because it was so good in that first game. Is it going to have the same impact?
What that says about the rest of his hand. He already has the Raisin.
Oh, and as I was anticipating, Samir is saying no, 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 no. And he's going to activate Solemn Judgment, paying half of his life points, getting rid of that Raisin right away. And that might be the window how Samir can still win this, because it is his turn again. Can he put up 8,000 points of damage here somehow? What did he draw there?
Samir is thriving on that Solemn Judgment, on the reaction of the crowd. He was smiling there. He knew, oh, this is going to stop your turn, isn't it? And now he is just sitting there waiting with a few cards in his hand, quite a few. But does he have Steam? He didn't have the easy way into the combo last turn. What was the draw that Samir Bashar got? Because the Baron effect to special summon something from the graveyard obviously is not working this turn.
Yeah, it's looking very empty there, that graveyard, isn't it?
Both players without a graveyard. Samir at least trying to figure something out here, so there could potentially be a way. There is probably a monster that he drew. Okay, we have the Diabellstar Witch, which is a pretty big monster already. This is close to game like that, but I think he's not done with it just yet. Discarding the Ash Blossom, understandable. He figured out a way, I think, to go for the game here, I'm pretty sure.
At this point, you can just start to go for your normal combo, right? You must have some Hydrants in your deck.
But no more Turbulence, as Basti mentioned, just the one.
Yeah, but you can summon out the Preventer.
Oh yeah, that's
and then
good.
Link it away and special summon out the Turbulence Banish. But you don't really need the Turbulence, you just need the damage.
Let's see, Samir thinking about it. Is he going to activate the Sinful Sport Snake there that he just sat?
I mean, this plays into Ash, but I think you really want to win this turn. You don't want to give your opponent another turn, because the only thing that stopped Marvin last turn was that Solemn Judgment. You don't have that anymore unless you drew it from the top, but I think that the Diabellstar, the Black Witch, was the top.
Oh, Samir breathing heavily after seeing that Marvin has no response to the Sinful Spoils card, and there is Hydron on the field now, and that is a good-looking field now for Samir already. He gets into his engine. I'm wondering whether he drew that Diabellstar Witch, because that was a really, really good card to draw there.
Very uplifting for Samir that he's now in his Fire Engine, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So is this just enough with the, if you just search Emergency here, activate Emergency, get Preventer, and then tribute the Preventer and get Turbulence? That looks like more than 8,000 damage.
Would absolutely be more than 8,000. Samir just trying to figure it out finally. Trying to get to the final point. I think Samir can do it even under 5 summons, right? This should be easily doable.
Yeah. Also, Nibiru is a light monster, and you don't really want that in Vanquish Soul, right?
Yeah, true. You kind of have struggles to include that card, and I can confirm there is no Nibiru in the main deck, yeah. And also not in the side deck even. Okay. What is that going to be? Appaloosa, just in case there is a Nibiru, we just go for the Appaloosa. And I mean, we did link away the Preventer with that, right?
I think that was an Airlifter. Wait, was there a Preventer?
Okay, we're just sorting our banished cards. Appaloosa is being summoned. Oh wait, there was no Preventer, you're right. Emergency being activated. Scrolling through our deck, so there is the Preventer now.
Love it, special summon out the Preventer and immediately send it to the graveyard to trigger it, and special summon out the Turbulence, and now we finally get to resolve the Rescue Ace Turbulence, the heart and soul of this oh so powerful deck, setting now I think 3 cards because we drew the one-off.
It depends, because actually he's siding in another trap card for the Rescue Ace cards. And yeah, there we see it. He has decided to side reinforce, so he still is going to set 4. He's shuffling, of course, those cards. Now he's setting them
He can
there.
activate the rescue this turn, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
He
awesome.
didn't even shuffle it. He didn't even want to bother with that because he's just going to activate it right away anyways.
Now we're having a little bit of a discussion, but now we get
It's
to
all
activate
good.
it.
It's
Did
all
he set
good.
alert rather than rescue? But that still works anyway, because you just search another preventer and special summon it.
I think Samir totally knows what he's doing. He probably has tested this deck for a very, very long time. And he has found a way here with the top deck of Diabellstar Witch to put 8,000 points of damage onto the field.
Oh, and now we're going to attack for 2,400, the 2,800 and 3,000, and that is supposed to be enough for the game. Marvin Camera packs up his cards. We are now tied 1-1. Samir having a crazy good Solemn Judgment, followed up by a Diabellstar, the Black Witch, from the top of his deck to grant him victory in this game.
You can't beat a European champion that easily, he says. I think his move was really cool. He was like, nah. Solemn Judgment is going to stop this, and we're going to move on with his duel. And he's now fully back into this match, clawing back into this game number 2. What do you expect? I mean, he's having so many good cards going second. Do you think going second is going to be even more impressive now? Because we see there's Change of Heart, there's Droll and Lockbird, there's Enemy Controller, Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, Nibiru. There's plenty of cards he could bring in here. It's crazy.
It's really, what do you side against Rescue Ace? Not Rescue Ace. Vanquish Soul. It's a tricky deck because it doesn't do a lot. Most of its interruptions, you have a few on the field and then a lot from your hand. So what's the play here?
I think Nibiru is like the most interesting card in the side deck because it's hit or miss. And I wouldn't even be sure myself whether I would include it versus Vanquish Soul, because if they start comboing really now, especially with Jiao Long being around, being another card you summon out, I think it's usually around the 5 summons mark. So you could be lucky that it's 5 summons. You could be unlucky that it's only 4 summons though. So Nibiru is interesting, and I don't know whether I would want to be relying on that luck, whether it is 4 or 5 summons, and therefore Nibiru might be a card you don't want to include. But I think one card, again, only a one-off also in his side deck that I really like, is Triple Tactics Talent, because Vanquish Soul is non-stop playing on your opponent's turn. Rock of the Vanquisher only is an effect that you can activate in the main phase as a quick effect on your opponent's turn. So Talents will basically always be live versus Vanquish Soul. So that card I really want to include, and I think Change of Heart and Enemy Controller are also great options.
The only problem is your opponent can basically choose which card you're taking with Triple Tactic Talents, because you can just always bounce your monster back. However, I think that only the big Vanquish Soul monsters bounce something else from the field to the hand.
Yeah.
So that means that you're basically giving your opponent your best card, and that's not what you want to do.
I don't think you want that exactly, because like some decks don't really have a way to do anything with that stuff. For example, if a branded player takes over one of your Vanquish Soul monsters, what is he going to do with it? Like the worst case, he's going to use Polymerization to fuse it away, but like he can't link it away. But Rescue Ace, of course, is just probably going to make SP out of it, so they have good use for your monsters. So it's going to be interesting to see, because I'm not ruling out Samir here at all, even though he's going second in this last game. Honestly, both games, going first for players didn't look impressive at all, right? Because Marvin also passed on Rock of the Vanquisher in game 1, still managed to win. Then Samir followed up with Baron de Fleur, Dark, and a Solemn Judgment. Also was enough. Interestingly enough, there was also probably that Ash Blossom left in his hand there, right? So his setup wasn't that bad. Against 4 cards, he had Solemn Judgment, a Baron de Fleur negate, and an Ash Blossom in hand. That usually can win you the game, and it did win him the game there.
Do you think it was actually the Ash Blossom in his hand? Because there was a resolved Pot of Prosperity. So maybe the Ash Blossom was the drawn card in there.
You're right. It was either the Diabellstar Witch or the Ash Blossom, one of the two.
I will have to read the Diabellstar, because maybe you can't even activate this under Shifter.
I think
by sending 1 card from your hand or field to the graveyard. I think this is not cost, right?
That is it cost or is it not cost?
I don't think it is cost, but you can't send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard. We should know this.
I mean, it's pretty easy to answer. When it is cost, you can't activate it. When it's not cost,
it's not cost.
When it's not cost, you can activate it. But still, like, banishing it, of course, is not that nice. So, I don't know. We see players are finalizing their shuffling. They are ready. They know what's at stake here. Especially, of course, Marvin Cameron knows that he has to stake his soul here, basically, with his Vanquish Soul strategy. He will be able to go first in this deciding game number 3. So let's get into it.
Alrighty, it's time for the decider right here. Samir versus Marvin. Samir Bashar versus Marvin Kamara, two very established players. Samir arguably a bit more established than Marvin because he has been to the World Championships before. He is a European champion and he has won a Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series. The biggest one in Europe, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so there goes another Pressure Planet race-off as we had it in the last game. Nothing on resolution. That would have been another card that Samir could have brought in from his side deck. Droll and Lockbird. I have to say,
yeah.
I like that one a lot more than Nibiru, to be honest, because it's not that much hit and miss. You are usually going to have a problem with that card resolving against you if you are a Vanquish Soul player.
Well, it depends. If your first action is to normal summon Raisin, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But if your first action, if your hand looked like this, then Droll and Lockbird. This is something a lot of people say about Droll and Lockbird. You know, sometimes your opponent has Terraforming and Durandal in their hand, and it's amazing. And other times they just normal summon, get their one search, and you look at it and think, oh.
All right, yeah. But this setup right away looking a lot better for Marvin. He has Fenrir already on the field. He has Stake Your Soul now as well next to the Raisin that he already picked up through the Durandal. That's a great setup there.
Souls are being staked so hard right now, and we're going to see. What has he revealed for Stake Your Soul, by the way?
I couldn't tell, but there is the Jialong that I was talking about that he just summons out off of the Stake Your Soul here.
Must have revealed a Razin then, right?
Yeah, most likely it was just the Razin that he revealed.
Oh,
okay, there is... Oh, it's two Razins even. He has two Razins in hand. So we are revealing two fire monsters to search out whichever Vanquish Soul card he wants there.
Except for another Vanquish Soul Jialong, but I don't think that's high up on the priority list anyways.
It's not even possible because he only runs one, to be honest. Oh, but Impermanent on the Jialong, but there's Caesar Valius being chained. So that's so good about the Vanquish Soul strategy. You have so many ways to dodge infinite Impermanence, and therefore Samir just wasted one of his cards in hand, and nothing really happened with that. That was very, very, very high value of a play there for Marvin.
Yeah, it's always a risk. Sometimes you just have to take the risk, don't you? When your opponent, you think, well, they might have an answer to it, but this is too important.
Yeah.
So I have to try.
And now the two new cards working together. We see Vanquish Soul Jialong fetching Vanquish Soul Snow Devil from the deck, so the trap is also ready as well. We grab another Earth monster through the effect of Kashtira Fenrir, being another Kashtira Fenrir, so that our Caesar Valius also will be able to destroy cards next turn. We have not even normal summoned. Yeah. Marvin lives in a beautiful world right now, grabbing himself Heavy Borger 2 here.
Yeah, Marvin is just overall having a really good time right now. Fenrir is so good in this deck. He did not get rolled on this very search-heavy hand. He has multiple interactions already on the opponent's turn. He has this very powerful trap card.
Yeah, he has the Fenrir as well. He has all the attributes for that Caesar Valius. I don't know if he's got a second Dark Monster to draw off Heavy Borger. I guess we'll find out. But, I mean, he's got, yeah, having all the attributes for Caesar Valius already is fantastic.
Yep, there goes one card into the spell and trap zone. It's not really something that we have to guess about because it's very obviously the card you just see here on the screen is going to be Vanquish Soul Snow Devil. And depending on how many attributes he can reveal for that, all of the effects are going to resolve. Sometimes you have to choose. Are you going to go for the 1, go for the 2, go for the 3? But with Vanquish Soul Snow Devil, if you can reveal all 3, you're just going to resolve all 3 effects too.
Well, you do have to destroy all monsters on the field, so maybe you don't want to destroy your own.
Yeah, yes. The thing is you can protect your own monsters very regularly through, like the Vanquish Soul monsters at least. So you would have to destroy your own Fenrir, but your Vanquish Soul monsters can easily be protected. Okay, but Samir starts things off with the good old, Change of Heart, taking over Fenrir, and that is pretty good for him.
Is he running the Kashtira package himself?
I was thinking that. It would be a very
Samir thing to do. That would be even better. But he went for the old school Fenrir in his deck. He's main decking Dino Wrestler Pankratops. But there's no Fenrir package in his deck, so he can't capitalize as much, to be fair.
To be honest, this is still a very, very good Change of Heart right here.
For sure.
This is one of the best cards you want to take away from your opponent onto your own side of the field. It progresses your own game state so much more, and you're immediately attacking the raise and probably activating effect to take over to banish face down the rock.
Okay, so we are in the battle phase. Marvin was thinking about whether to do something at the end of main phase 1. Obviously, it would have been the effect of Rock of the Vanquisher, but he decided against it. And now he's going to get that one banished, and also the Raisin is going to be run over by the Fenrir.
So I guess maybe he will be destroying all the monsters on the field with that Snow Devil now. All of
How do you like that now? Exactly.
I like it a lot now, yeah.
Exactly. So, Raisin.
Just calculating there. So the Raisin, does the Kashtira Field Spell buffs all of your monsters by?
Yeah, for different attributes. So Raisin should have been boosted by 200 attack points there, but that's still enough for Kashtira Fenrir to run over it.
Raisin can protect itself as well, but only from card effect destruction. And let me tell you, this attack was not a card effect destruction.
True. Okay, now another summon, and that's another convenient way of getting rid of the Kashtira Fenrir by just sending it for the effect of the Witch.
That was the most value out of one Change of Heart I think I've ever seen. It just took took the one Fenrir, which then destroyed 2 other monsters, and then got sent. It would have been even better if he'd had his own Fenrir to add. That would have just been...
Yeah, that would have been top-notch for real, yeah. Okay, we use the on-field effect of the Abelst of a Black Witch, setting the Sinful Spoil spell card. And Marvin just lets it happen for now.
Marvin is going to still be able to destroy all the monsters on the field at one point, and the battle phase of Samir is already over. So Marvin has a lot going for him. He has the Jawlong in hand, he has the Heavy Bogger, he has the Caesar Valiant, and he has another Raisin, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And that is a big setup.
When do you do it?
When there are more monsters than just the Hydrant.
But the Hydrant will get more monsters.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and I mean, the Vanquish Soul Snow Devil itself is just going to protect your own monsters, because by revealing 2 different attributes, it says Vanquish Soul monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects this turn. So it's kind of protecting its own effect, you know? So that's really cool. Oh, I think we just used it there, right?
We have immediately Snow Devil right here.
It summons a monster as well?
Yeah, that's the thing. You summon one out, you protect all of your monsters, and you destroy all monsters on the field. Like, this card is completely crazy, and that's why it was high priority for Marvin to search it out.
Yeah, that's incredible. I didn't realize it also summoned a monster.
Yeah, it's really good. So Raisin is being summoned here.
And remember, there's no battle phase anymore.
Indeed. So Marvin's turn is going to come back to him there.
Raisin is going to sit there pretty, searches out a Dr. Madlove, and don't forget there is also Heavy Bogger as well. But now, that's what I told you, Marvin can now choose which card Samir will take over, but it's going to be very much annoying for him regardless.
Raisin reveals the Jawlong, but I think that's a really smart play here by Marvin, because that will lead to the Jawlong being able to trigger after the resolution of the Triple Tactic Talents, and then Marvin will have a monster again on the field, which he can use with the Valiers. Look at that, Jawlong on a new chain. So even though Samir wanted to make sure there's no more monster on the field for Marvin, there again is the Jawlong.
Very well played.
Absolutely, and Samir doesn't like it. He again is shaking his head. In the last game, he was shaking his finger, signalizing you ain't going to win this game, but now he's shaking his head. So I don't know whether we can really have too much hope with Samir here for this game.
There is still Heavy Bogger and Caesar Valiant in the hand of Marvin, and of course, no, not another Raisin, because that one is just on the field on Samir's side right now. That's his Raisin now. Gets to keep it after the game, of course. And, I mean, that's another Fire Warrior on his side. I mean, got to be something he can do with it, right?
I was wondering if he can activate the Raisin effect, but I didn't think he'll have a Dark Monster.
Probably not, no, you're right. I mean, if he has an extra copy of the Diabellstar Witch, maybe. Oh. Wait, is she dark? Yeah, she is dark.
However, still all of the monsters would be protected by card effects.
Yeah,
from
true,
card
true,
effects.
True. So it seems like there's a judge question going on right now. Yeah, that's why we quickly bring it back over to us. So something to take care of there for the judges. And in the meantime, we can enjoy talking about those 2 decks. Do you think Rescue Ace is going to win this tournament? Quick and easy question.
No.
No.
Okay, so which deck is going to win this tournament then?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Quick and easy.
You asked me that question.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe your mind changed overnight.
A lot of very good decks. So
No,
I think if
no,
you ask
that
me
was
if you
not
think
the
Rescue
question.
Ace is going to win, I'd say no. But it doesn't mean I know which deck is going to win. But if I'm going to make a decision, I'll say Dragon Link.
Okay, so hear me out. No, I said Fluwanderies yesterday. But there's plenty of very good Italian players who shifted away from Fluwanderies.
Shifted away from Fluwanderies.
Shifted away. So there is one player, I think, who is going to win the YCS Bologna, because the story is just, it just fits. And that is Lorenzo Muselli. And I think that he's going to take it all the way with his Centurion deck.
Okay, I like the call.
I said it.
I will, if we talk about players, I will add up to this. And I know you will like my call as well, because you also
Is
have
it Dinkabui again, Basti?
Usually that would be my call, but I'm shifting away from that call for this one right here too. And I'm going to call out a player that was in top 8 at YCS Dortmund, but I think he came back even stronger now to YCS Bologna. I think Gabriel Netz, changing to a different deck for this event, is having a really good run. He was X1 after the first day of the tournament, and I have high hopes for him to this time maybe go even deeper into the tournament compared to YCS Dortmund, where he already made top 8. So, Tom, do we have a player you're looking out for as well?
Okay, I'm going to give a really boring answer and say Joshua Schmidt. Honorary Dragon Link deck. We saw it yesterday. It wasn't exactly a Dragon Link, but I think it's close enough. It's a Dragon Link in spirit.
Yeah. I mean, those are all high caliber players, so I definitely think we made some good choices there. I do really like the Lorenzo Morzelli call as well, because the Centurion deck really looks impressive. And also one more thing that you may have not really seen on the live stream, on the coverage here, but something that we can tell you because we are also going through the top tables there and we have some extra information there. I think the Fire King deck is doing more than we were anticipating. There are like 4 or 5 Fire King decks at the top 30 tables or something like that. So impressive performance so far by the deck, honestly.
Yeah, there's always that advantage of playing a new deck just as it's come out, because not everyone's going to know how to prepare for it. Maybe they won't have the right cards in their side deck. Maybe there's some excellent water card that negates all of your opponent's fire monsters that exist somewhere, but no one's going to have it in their side deck for this event. So,
I mean, honestly, if there is a card to counter fire card, I would expect it to be a Rescue Ace card.
It has to be, yeah, just by nature. You're right. So deck-wise, that means we're having a Dragon Link, Centurion, and also, I will not give away just yet what Gabriel Netz is on, but he's definitely also on a very good deck for this event. And overall, I think when we looked at the metagame breakdown for the first round, we saw that there was Rescue Ace, which we are just seeing, and Unchained on top of the leaderboard. Do you expect this to change majorly moving into top 64 when we have our next breakdown, or do you expect to see something similar there?
I do expect a drastic change, to be honest.
Same, to be honest.
Because I don't think that the Unchained players and the Rescuers players have performed super well so far. Both of these decks were super hard prepared for by all of the other duelists. And it's just looking like it's going to be a tough time for them to win this tournament in total. And I think that we have other decks like Labyrinth. I've seen a lot of Labyrinth. I've seen players play the deck in different ways. Like there's like proper inventions in there.
Yeah, for sure.
That this is maybe going to take over the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be some changes, and maybe, as you guys both mentioned, it'll be the decks that people haven't prepared for that are gaining ground in day 2 or in the top 64, like Dragon Link.
Which would usually be the case, right? The decks that people are prepared for are going to be heavily countered, and therefore they're not going to perform that well in comparison to the other decks that are like underdog decks. But do you think we're going to have a new first place? Do you think there's I think the Labyrinth call I like. I think when I walk through those top tables, Labyrinth left and right, honestly. Like Labyrinth seems to be taking over the top tables, and I would as well not be surprised if it would also be taking over the top cut, honestly. But another deck that I was also seeing quite a bit of, to be fair, is Telemans. Telemans was sitting in 3rd place in the overall breakdown, but I wouldn't be surprised if that would also be jumping up maybe to 1st or at least 2nd place, to be honest.
One thing I have about Telemans is it's a deck that occupies a lot of space in people's minds because it's so much fun. So I think a lot of people play it, even when it's not necessarily the best deck. I think everyone's going to play it. Everyone wants to play it. You know, at Dortmund, I was talking to a lot of people before the event, and they said, "Oh, you know, I'm going to play this cool new deck. I've found this great build of Telemans. Like, no one's going to expect it." And then it was like
everyone played it.
It was the most popular deck almost. So, and then again, it's another card that it's very easy to side deck for. There's so many cards that just you know, you side your Abyss Dweller, your Gravekeeper's Inscription, your Dimension Shifter, and it's one of those decks. It's so powerful that people is going to have a big target on its back.
I will admit, maybe I also just had tunnel vision when walking through the top tables, and I was like, Telemans, and I just saw those, and I actually, maybe there aren't that many, but it seemed to me that there were a lot.
Fusion summoning from the graveyard is just a different experience, right? It's just so much fun, and I mean, we have all played, I think all of us have played the format where Telemant was by far the best deck, and I think it was incredibly enjoyable. I really love the deck. I love going back to that deck. It's not quite as strong now as it was back then, but it is still a powerhouse. There were so many limitations on the Forbidden and Limited list, and the players could still find a way to play this deck, even though all of the names, I mean, not Rhinoheart, not Castilla Tearlaments, but Shiren and Merle and Hafnis are limited now. The deck is still incredibly strong and rather consistent as well, even though I do think it does not play well into hand traps. I think that is a major problem of the deck, not even Bestials necessarily, even though these are incredibly strong against the deck. I think that when I played the deck recently, a lot of the time when you just get ashed on the first thing you do, there's a high chance that your turn is over.
Fair enough, yeah. Also, so now we spoke about the great picture of all the decks in the room. Let's maybe try to get a little bit back into the game we are just seeing. And the only question that I could ask myself right now, what could be the issue here, is that trap card, right? Dust Devil. Maybe it's a question of how do the three effects resolve. So maybe the problem is, and it does say the first one first, and then the second one, and then the third one? Or
I can read the card out for everyone.
I mean, just tell us, is it going to be in sequence, or how is it going to be? Because
reveal up to...
I don't want to hear the full card of that.
Yes, it's part of this sentence.
Okay.
Reveal up to one each of Dark Earth and Fire monsters in your hand. Apply the following effects in sequence based on the number revealed.
Okay, so that means we start with the first one, and then go to the second one, and go to the third one. Because
first one is Special Summon, second one is Protect, third one is Dark Hole.
So yeah, the only question I would have right now, maybe that could come up there, is whether the monster we summon out would already be affected by the destruction effect, you know? That could be the scenario. But if you read the card, I would say it's never ever, right? Because it is protected in the first place.
Exactly.
And I would agree with you that it's pretty obvious, but like that's the only ruling scenario that I would have right now. Or is there anything else you could imagine?
One thing I might think is sometimes if you have multiple effects and you resolve them incorrectly in the wrong order, then it is said that you've missed your chance.
Oh.
So I'm not sure if you have to summon before you destroy, or whether you can summon. So if you destroy the field and then say, okay, now I'm going to summon this, then your opponent might say to you, well, you've already destroyed it, so you have to do it in sequence.
The thing is, does it say you can apply those effects? Because you have revealed 3 at the beginning.
Apply the following effects.
Okay, so when you just reveal all 3, there's just no way you can get around that, right? So you just resolve all 3 effects. And one more thing that I was thinking, because Triple Tactic Talons was also just recently activated there by Samir Bakar. And sometimes there are very confusing rulings about Triple Tactic Talons. When you, for example, using Triple Tactic Talons and your opponent chains IP Masquerade, making a Nightmare Unicorn. I feel like that ruling has been updated 1,000 times by now. So you're making Nightmare Unicorn, your opponent takes the Nightmare Unicorn with Triple Tactic Talons, and
who's getting the effect?
Who is going to activate the effect? And I think it was a very popular ruling that the person that doesn't even have the Nightmare Unicorn on his side of the field anymore can still activate the effect. And it was always just super confusing to me, to be honest.
So it might be the case then, following on from what you've said, that the Rausen is not considered to be...
this. That's what I'm maybe thinking,
So maybe you wouldn't then be able to summon the Dialong.
Dialong, yeah, exactly.
Wait, considered to be what?
On your side of the field anymore.
Oh,
yeah, that's why I was bringing that up. Yeah,
but I think it activated on your own side of the field.
That's what I would
think this is slightly
too.
different, but I mean, we're not sure yet.
Yeah,
so.
we're just guessing at this point too. We're trying to figure out what happened there.
Jiaolong, that's what you mean. But I mean, it was on your side of the field.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely
it was
activated it. Yeah. So we're just speculating.
Exactly. We're trying to figure out what is going on there right now over at the table. And I think we're going to have a solution to that very soon. And Vanquish Soul, honestly, I think we were, as I was saying, walking through the top tables a lot. And we have always seen Marvin as the one Vanquish Soul player up there. So I was already telling Leo, yep, Vanquish Soul. We may have a look at that later on in the tournament, maybe consider it for the featured match. But honestly, he was like the only Vanquish Soul player that I could see there for a while.
I mean, Lukas Janssen was also the only Vanquish Soul player we had in Top Cut in Dortmund, right? It wasn't a popular choice back then. I would have even expected the numbers to pick up after his huge success. By the way, amazing story. That was his first YCS ever, and he got all the way into the finals.
Pretty good success rate.
You know, there can only be one Vanquish Soul player.
But he's not
I'm
running
proud
the
of
card.
you.
Good pun. Good pun approved by Leonard Göring.
I've got my pun approved by the professor
I'm
of
like
puns.
a proud father right now.
But yeah, that is not going to be happening again this weekend for Lukas Janssen, at least, because we talked to him in the middle of day one already. He did not have the greatest runs of all time for this event, so he's already out. Probably playing somewhere in the public events, but not in the main event anymore.
What did he call his tournament experience? 1-3 airport?
Yeah, 1-3 airport, but he's still here, so I don't know how that story even checks out, to be honest.
It's still hilarious, though.
All right, so it seems like I've heard that we have a decision. We are ready to play again, so let's go back to the table and check out where the action is.
I think there's still a little bit of gesturing going on
chatting.
right there. But we have a Vanquish Soul Raisin on the field right now again, and there is no Jialong anywhere.
It's no Jialong.
The
Well, it's probably in the hand, but it's not on the field.
So we just got a double read on Jialong once again. If you reveal a card in your hand to activate a Vanquish Soul card effect, except doing the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand.
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds like
Marvin definitely activated the effect
Yeah.
of Razin and revealed a card, so...
So the thing that it was confusing me was that Samir, right away before we even got the judges involved, was pointing towards the Snow Devil. So it was he was kind of referring to the Snow Devil, but there is no restriction with these Snow Devils, so I really don't understand what the issue here was.
It doesn't look like the Jialong's hit the field.
No, we did not get the Jialong out there. So we summon out Hita, and of course there is a fire monster in the graveyard with the Razin, and Samir is going to use that Razin and his own Hita to link summon up into maybe Celine. Yeah, looks like we are going to Celine.
He was already... Oh, he's probably going for an Appaloosa right here, right? Because I think he's already been in battle phase this time.
Yeah, after all of this, you do have to remember it's main phase too. Sometimes you can forget that after you've had a very long judge call or even like a very long turn. You can think, oh, because it was such a short battle phase.
Yeah, it happened a lot with evenly matched for me as well. At locals, I like a second battle phase.
We have second main phase, why not second battle phase?
Exactly. No, sometimes you just forget what happened in the turn. The games are long, the turns are long especially as well, and this stuff just comes up sometimes.
Oh, and I thought maybe Samir now can just establish one Appaloosa and that's it, but he's not done yet. He just starts comboing. We have the alert once again to bring out the Hydrant. Hydrant summoning out the almighty Turbulence, and are we going to resolve that? Or does Marvin have a way to prevent it?
No, Marvin would
With
have
the preventer.
to have... Almost. Marvin would have to have an impermanence, but that's not the case right here. And all of a sudden, this great follow-up that Marvin has in his hand does not look too good anymore because there is so much follow-up by Samir.
Yeah, it's interesting now. I mean, although we weren't quite sure what happened, the fact that it did happen means we're going to have an exciting kind of battle now, right? Because Marvin's going to be playing his whole engine, Samir's got access to his whole engine, so it's going to be really exciting to see the two engines fight off against each other, especially the big fire engine.
I can't get over the fire engine pun. Right? I love this. It's a reoccurring theme this weekend. Having a lot of fun with that one. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that it's really hard to overcome the Rescue Ace deck if they set for you. Basically need a Happy's Feather Duster from the top.
Does he have Happy's Feather Duster in his...
I mean, if he had one, he would have probably sided it out going first, right? I mean, do you still side it out? It's such a good card.
I think you might be siding it out. Also, everyone, I can now finally present you the ruling that we were talking about, the reason why the Raisin was not able, or the Jialong rather, was not able to activate. Because, and that's why Samir pointed towards the trap, because Razin was already protected to not be destroyed by card effects. It could not activate its effect anymore to not be able to destroy by card effects anymore, you know? But that's the effect that he was trying to activate there. It was already protected by card effects, and therefore he couldn't activate the effect again to further protect it from card effect destruction, and therefore, yeah, that was why we couldn't even activate the Razin there anymore, and Samir could just take it over. And that's why Samir was pointing towards the trap, you know? He's like, you are already protected from card effects, so that is not going to work there. And yep, that is why Samir now is able to do all of this.
That is a very valid point.
Yeah.
That's an
excellent. We didn't even think about it, but that's the answer there.
Yeah.
There we go. Very quick catch by Samir also, right?
Yeah.
Like, Vanquish Soul is more of a rogue matchup, but still immediately he's like, is that really how it's going to work? Okay.
Oh, and Preventer is immediately trying to set the Kashtira Fenrir face down, and it is going to work. Just like a charm right there. Now Marvin needs to find the follow-up in his Raisin. He knows that this is not going to be an easy turn for him. And is he normal summon Dr. Mad Love? I mean, he summoned the Raisin already. He's in the graveyard.
He had 2 in his hand in the first turn, so there's probably 1 more.
Yeah.
What more Vanquish Soul spells and traps does he have, if any?
Let me just
Does he
quickly
have
check his
Continue?
list. I would think maybe Continue is one of the cards you would want to
Please, there is a
include,
question mark, Sebastian.
but there is no Continue in his deck.
Oh.
The only spell and trap of the Vanquish Soul stuff, he's just playing the Snow Devil, yeah, but nothing else besides that.
And the return to hand effect of Mad Love, is it the lowest defense monster, I want to say?
quick double check, is it going to be the lowest defense monster?
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was the lowest or the highest defense, but the lowest defense would get rid of the Hydrant. But if it's the highest defense, yeah.
Okay, there comes IP Masquerena as a fact, and Marvin wants to respond with Dr. Madlove, revealing to Samir, quickly follows that up with the FR. He's considering it, already playing around with the dice, but he's considering the Appaloosa effect activation as well.
Now, I find IP Masquerena as an answer to this quite interesting, because if you link away one of the monsters, then the other one is going to get returned to the hand. However, you can also link away both of those.
And then the Mad Love would go back to the hand.
Oh, yes!
But I think it was Mad Love activated as Chain Link 2 in response to IP.
Indeed. Okay. I think we now have oh, no, still no activation from the Appaloosa, but finally Samir decides to use Appaloosa there as chain link number 3.
IP is looking so good here. We are probably going to see the card of the tournament again. SP Little Knight might be the next card that is coming from Samir's side, but Marvin is trying to go for another monster. Caesar Valius is going to be summoned by returning the Vanquish Soul Dr. Mad Love to the hand.
And it is not a cost to return Mad Love?
I don't think it is.
No, it's definitely not. Okay, so there is Caesar Valius now. Marvin still able to play into this field.
A nice play from Marvin, because you can only use Appaloosa once in the same chain, so he's going to sneak that Caesar Valius into play before Samir can do anything about it.
Oh, Samir not sure with which monster he wants to link summon, but he does ultimately decide on the Hydrant, bringing out the SP Little Knight that Leo was already anticipating. Most popular link monster of the weekend, being played twice in the extra deck of Samir Bakar here.
Linking of a Preventer is, of course, always value. However, it looks like there's only one card banished for Samir right now, and that is not a Rescue Ace monster. And now we are trying to activate the Caesar Valius effect.
Oh, and
no, I think, yeah, the Jialong.
yeah, this time Jialong is
Jialong,
able to activate the fact, because the Dr. Madlove activated.
Now everyone is reading different cards right now.
And now we have to figure out...
I mean, Dr. Madlove still activated his effect on the field, so it should absolutely be possible to now also activate the Jialong. Yeah,
But does
there we go.
Appaloosa negate effects or activations of effects?
That is a valid question, but he... Oh yeah, he did negate that one, you're right. Good old
the activation.
Appaloosa. Okay, so... Oh, that's a good point then, right? So we cannot activate Jialong all of a sudden.
This is a very confusing situation.
Yeah,
so much going on.
Those interactions are really, really interesting here. So, indeed, Appaloosa.
At this point, we also have to take a look at the time right now, because there's only 4 minutes remaining. This is getting closer and closer, but now the Caesar Valius is going to be banished. Of course, Jialong is hitting the field right here, but there are still 2 powerful trap cards on Samir's side.
Is there any more sort of tag-out effects? Is there a heavy Borger in hand, maybe?
There must be a Borger.
There must always be a Borger.
At the end of the day, there will always be a Borger somewhere. Just going to show you guys the Rescue Ace trap cards that do not have Rescue Ace in their name, but of course they are always treated as Rescue Ace cards, as you can see at the first line of the card. By the way, this is round 10 of the YCS Championship Series in Bologna, if you have just tuned in. And we're having a pretty intense duel between Samir and Marvin.
Okay, there comes Contain. Going to go after the Rock of the Vanquisher. Marvin considering whether to respond to that or not.
Was it in response to the rock effect?
It seems like it, yeah.
Oh,
and there's Typhon. Of course, Samir was summoning from his extra deck a lot last turn, and therefore Typhon is going to hit the field here.
now Marvin can't summon any more monsters this turn, having summoned Typhon.
Yeah.
That is indeed correct.
So do we think that was just too much stuff from Samir for Marvin to overcome?
Okay, so I was just double checking with the judges whether Jialong was able to activate, because we were wondering when the activation of the effect was negated whether you could still be able to even then trigger the Jialong in hand. So I
Oh, but the Caesar
okay,
Valius,
it is still possible,
the
yeah.
Caesar Valius activated anyway afterwards.
yeah, it's fine. Okay, it is all right then.
Also, I gotta say, I like Superstar Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis a lot as a last resort play. However, I have not seen this weekend that someone really won the game off of summoning that Star Slayer.
Well,
You're right, yeah.
Yeah, you often don't have a lot to do.
Yeah.
You can't do anything afterwards, right? So, I mean, sometimes it can be clutch, but it feels like you're playing it in quite a bad situation. Your opponent must have done a lot last turn, and you're going to get to bounce one further monster.
Okay, so Samir now activating multiple trap cards. And let's
let's
remember all those trap cards.
You can't use it as an XYZ material, but he doesn't control a Hydrant, so you can still use it as an XYZ material.
Yeah, but like all those cards there were free, right? He was just giving them for free through the Turbulence, setting 4 cards. This card still blows my mind. Like just saying, hey, set 4 different Rescue Ace spell and trap cards from your deck. And if you have Hydrant on the field, you may as well just activate one of them this turn as well. So that's just crazy to me.
And all of the cards get extra effects as well. So you're not even just negating a monstrous effect, but you're completely blocking it out.
Yeah.
So maybe it would have been a slightly better play to link off the Preventer with the IP Masquerader and keep the Hydrant on the field.
Fair, yeah. I do absolutely understand that. So it's no surprise to me that since the release of the Sinful Spoils cards, we had a YCS being won by Rescue Ace in the hands of Steve Santoli, of course, over in the US. Very accomplished player, piloting this deck all the way to victory in the finals. They played out even the mirror match. It was 2 Rescue Ace decks in the finals, and still, even though we are not convinced that it is going to win this weekend, we have our underdog picks, but I would also not be shocked if it ends up winning the tournament, right?
No, I mean, it's definitely a very powerful deck. I think sometimes, you know, it has a very straightforward play of activate Turbulence, set 4. So some players love that, and some players...
I love it too.
Some players love to do something slightly different every game rather than have my one power card which just resolves and wins me the game.
That's why you play every single card as a one-off.
Exactly.
If you're a Samir bar card, you mix things up.
Exactly, you win with other cards every single game. But there's an interesting phenomenon at most of those tournaments, and that is that there is most of the time before one of the matches, before the tournament starts, that there is one deck that nobody has thought of before, or some people have considered before, that is just going absolutely crazy now. I remember when it was Sprite Runic Live Twin, or just Sprite Runic in Utrecht back then. I don't think that we had this tournament. We didn't have like a crazy combo that was just revealed on the Friday. We didn't have a crazy control deck or any tech card that was crazy. And the game seems to continue. That is quite nice, so we can continue that thought as well. And I think we should just go into the game.
All right, here we go. Back into the action, back into where we left. So Typhon was just coming to the field, and here we go again.
So Typhon, it looks like it's going to be extinguished.
Yep, and there we are extinguishing the Typhon. This is still looking rather good for Samir. Keep in mind that the clock is ticking down right here. There's just a set monster on Marvin's side. Can he continue playing?
Marvin trying to get back his Caesar Valius, but maybe that's not going to happen.
Not that kind of SP Little Knight effect, no.
Okay, Hydra now coming to the field. So Samir with a great setup going into this turn. Less than 3 minutes. Currently Marvin leading in terms of life points, but Samir certainly with the advantage right now on the field.
And he plays very fast when he knows what he's doing. He thinks for a minute and then just kind of zooms everything onto the field.
Absolutely, yep. Okay, so there we go. Samir is having a party in his camera, you can see it. He just wants to get this done with. I think that's what he was referring to. I just want to be done with this. Let's get this over. I think this is the turn where I'm winning this game, where I'm winning this match, where I move on with still an X2 record, which gives me a chance to top this tournament.
And I think it is going to be very easy for him to find game at some point right there, because you normal summon Airlifter, you get another Emergence out. You can just take the 0-attack Appaloosa and go into another SP Little Knight to banish the face-down monster if you even have to get rid of that face-down Fenrir. I don't think it's the biggest threat.
If you banish with SP, you can't attack directly.
That
That's
is
a good
true,
point.
yeah. That is maybe not the solution, but there's Access Code Talker ending games for a while now. And oh, he can even point towards the Appaloosa, making it a 6,300 attack points. Access Code Talker destroying the Fenrir, and that should already be enough to seal the deal here.
Yes, and Samir is going to announce the battle phase. He is attacking with the Access Code Talker and the Preventer. There's the Handshake, and Samir Bachar advances now in round number 11, and he is still in the tournament. Marvin Kamra, of course, lost for the 3rd time in this tournament, so that means I don't think that there is a chance for him to top cut this, but that was a good showing of the Vanquish Soul deck as well.
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, we can't even rule him out just yet, because we have so many players always here at our European Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship events, like 2,500 players. We play 12 rounds of Swiss. I couldn't even necessarily tell you where the cutoff will be. I think some X3 players might even sneak into top 64, because we will be playing top 64. We will have a huge top cut, but it's going to be close, so I can't guarantee you, but I would recommend him to play on just in case he makes it, right?
Yeah, it's always unpredictable, and I guess sometimes that adds to the excitement of an event. So, you know, sometimes you've just got to keep going, and maybe you make it in.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always advise to every new player as well. If you have the shot, why go home? Like, just continue to play.
Play some Yu-Gi-Oh!
Sneak in as 16th into top 16 or whatever top cut it is. Just make it out of a surprise factor, and then you're there, and then you're even more motivated because you worked so hard for it, you know?
Yeah.
It's easy to just run through, be first up the Swiss, and then be in top cut, but just work for it. Put in the work. Put in
Easy
the
for
energy.
you, maybe. You always go X-Zone top cut after Swiss, do you, Basti?
Didn't want to say it.
To give a rather more fitting example, Marcello Barberi won a YCS after being 32nd place, so that's a good example. But another guy who has won a YCS before and just won our round 10 feature match is Samir Bachar, and Ed is about to interview him.
How can you not feel energized around Samir Bachar, the winner of our round 10 feature match? And as you said already, Leo, an incredibly decorated member of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community World Championships, a European champion winner, and also the winner of London. So, you're here in Bologna. How are you feeling?
Me feeling it's a little strange because I didn't arm for the time, and I mandatory playing a speedy whole game, and it's really difficult because Rescue Ace is really a long road for playing the optimal move.
I understand. So, let's talk about Rescue Ace, because that's one of the most popular decks this weekend. Why do you like Rescue Ace?
Oh, I really like Rescue Ace because this deck can good permissive. If you lost the dice, you can really playing Ghost Gun, and it's really good part of imagination for create the play for come back the situation. And this deck, it's the best deck for all this situation.
You reckon you could take it all the way to the finals with this deck?
Again? Yeah.
That's what we like to see. We're going to keep this interview short because this is about the time we get into the next round. So thank you so much, Samir. Best of luck in the next couple of rounds of Swiss. I hope we can see you in that top cut as usual. Guys, don't go anywhere. We've got our next round coming up. Got our next round 11 feature match very, very soon. But first, we're going to take a look at a quick deck combo tutorial in one of the most popular from this weekend, the Unchained deck.